This is a story about two flies. There was a bar fly and a church fly. These flies went to an average bar and the other one to an average church. They met up one day at a dumpster in the vicinity of each other's normal haunts. And they were talking, and the barfly said, "It's a pretty good gig being a barfly. You've got a lot of people that don't eat half their food. They come in and they get happy and they forget all about their stuff, and it ends up being thrown away, and I get the majority of it. So there's plenty of fun, food, and friendship, and it's just a really cool place to hang out." The church fly, on the other hand, he said, "Well, occasionally we have food, and occasionally a toddler will drop something in the classrooms, and occasionally there will be crumbs in the nursery. But on the whole, there's not a whole lot to eat at church. So I have to do most of my eating out here at this dumpster." The barfly said, "Well, that's just a travesty. You should come over to the bar sometime and eat up with me." And the church fly said, "Well, it's not so bad. I mean, there's not that much food, but they sing a lot, and there's always a good message that is preached, and a good 3-point sermon that tells me how to live better. So it's not too bad. It's kind of worth the sacrifice." The barfly looks at him and says, "Well, that's kind of like the bar in that there's always music going and somebody singing. And around the bar, there's always somebody giving you good advice." The two say, "Well, let's just switch and see how we like it." So the barfly heads to the church on Sunday morning, and the church fly, he headed to the bar on Saturday afternoon. They had a plan to meet back up Sunday afternoon and discussed how it all went. They get there, and the barfly, he was just chewing on something on that dumpster. He's like, "You're right, there's not a lot of food being dished out at that church. And I'm hungry, so just tell me what you thought while I eat." So the church fly, which had attended the previous evening's crowd at the bar, said, "Well, I was surprised. That's a lively place you got there. People were very, very friendly. I did not think so. Did not think it would be so. But generally, the people are more friendly there at the bar than they are in the church. And they're always hugging each other and patting each other on the back, and I've never heard so much laughter. They genuinely were having a good time." The barfly said, Yep, keep going, I'm keeping eating." So the church fly continued on. He said, "Another thing. One thing that just threw me for a loop is I saw several people I see every Sunday or near every Sunday there at the bar on Saturday night." He's like, I was going to mention that if you didn't, that I'd saw several from the bar that was at your church on Sunday morning." He's like, "Yeah, but one thing stood out to me, barfly. I mean, just one thing that I would say is very, very important." He's like, "What's that?" "They didn't act like they do at church when they're in the bar." The barfly laughed. He said, "Yeah, I noticed that. The people that I see so happy and hugging necks and jovial and really just hanging around and being loud and having fun, well, they were as quiet. They didn't you couldn't even hear them sing. They didn't hug nobody. They shook a few hands, but it wasn't like they were happy to be there or nothing. I think they're much happier at the bar." The church fly said, "Well, now that you say that, I think I am too. I get fed, I get fellowship, I get friendship. Shoot, even the other barflies that's in there, they were more willing to share. Me and the other church flies, and there's only a couple, we have to fight for the crumbs because there's not many to go around. So I think I'm gonna switch from being a church fly to hanging out with you and becoming a barfly. Barfly said, well, you'll be more than welcome. As I tell this story, I tell it because we're talking about an average church and we're talking about an average bar. And we're talking about how people are in those two climates. I go into most churches and they're stuffy, and I'll get handshakes and I'll get the friendly, how do you do, glad you're here, welcome. But it never goes any further than that. It's like almost a superficial smile, how you doing, we're glad you're here. There's nothing really genuine about it, because at the end of the service, I don't know no more about these people than I did when I got there. But I go to any bar, almost any bar, we're talking an average bar, there's at least somebody there who's going to tell me their story. There's at least somebody there going to ask me my name and ask me who I am and all about me. There'll be somebody that's interested in me. Now, I'm not saying being in a bar is a better place than being at church. I'm just saying being at church should be a better place than a bar. That's something to think about. If you're a pastor, you're in leadership, maybe you need to head off to the bar and see what the competition looks like. Because if you're not putting enough food out there, you're not putting enough fellowship, and you're not getting people in a place where they feel like they're family, you're probably going to lose a few. You probably already lost them. And you're not up against equal odds when you try to get them out of that bar and into your church. You got to look at it. What's the church offer that the bar don't have? Well, I'm going to tell you. If you say God, I've had a lot more religious experiences with people that's had a couple drinks than I have that people don't drink at all. People open up when they have a little alcohol, and they're willing to hear, and they're willing to accept, and they're willing to talk about. We don't get a chance to talk in church. We get a few minutes before we get there, and maybe a few minutes after, but people in a hurry to get there, hurry to get home. So I'm just saying, maybe we need to reevaluate the way we are doing church. Hey, I appreciate you watching these videos. It means a lot to me that you take your time and just listen to me. I know I've got some wisdom to impart. I know I've got some life experiences to share. But I want you to know you're appreciated for the time you spend watching my videos. And if you comment, I'll do my best to answer back. If you like, hey, I appreciate that. If you share, it may help somebody else. If you subscribe, maybe the next video I do will be tailor-made for you. Hey, this is Pastor Sam. Go by Preacher in the NC world. Just take it to heart. I'm not saying leave your church. I'm saying make your church better. Make the church warmer. Make the church a place where people feel like they love being. Peace.